All right, we're good there. Okay. All right, so do you have a flat 1/2 inch? We're going to be starting with this guy first.
Okay, got it.
And then is your canvas, is it pre-sketched for you, or does it have kind of the scene sort of jotted on there a little bit?
It's pre-sketched.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw my paint on the canvas here. Are you a fan of blending? Because this painting has a lot of it.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Just get this paint on the canvas here. We'll be starting with the sky. So I have most of my blues and whites on my palette here.
Okay.
All right. And then of course I'm just going to get my bristles wet so that they take the paint nicely and start the blend off great.
Okay.
And then the first thing I'm going to be blending is going to be the sky, and the sky goes from dark to light down to the horizon line. So I'm going to start with this dark blue I have.
Okay.
Maybe a tad of white in it to brighten it just a little bit. I'll show you my plate here. And I'll just start at the very top. That first line is going to be pretty dark. And then as I get to the bottom, I'm just going to add white into my blue.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and keep these strokes nice and straight anyway. And then once I sort of get to the middle, I'm going to mix the teal and white together. Maybe a little bit of blue here.
Okay.
You can kind of see on my plate as well. So it's going to just be this kind of like nice tealy blue sky. And once you get to the bottom, it's practically white.
Okay.
Get my water cup out of the way here. And I always like to say before we get started, you can switch up the painting any way you like. So if you like a brighter sky, you can keep it brighter, or if you like it darker, you can keep it darker. Sometimes I like it when those nice white streaks kind of get up there in the sky. Makes it look kind of like a streaky cloud.
Sure.
I like those. And I'm sure you're aware of our 2 rules we have in the studio anyway, if you remember them.
None of them look the same.
Yes. And to have fun.
And have fun.
This one's definitely fun. And then of course, since I'm not there with you, you can just kind of keep me updated on where you're at with the sky and the blending, because I definitely don't want to work too fast or anything like that either. So.
Okay.
And the one advice I have for this painting anyway is just like, once we get into like the more colorful blends, I just like to say let them do what they do. Because even when I was painting this one, I was like, I don't know what those colors might do together, but if you like it, keep it. So it gets pretty colorful.
Okay.
When was the last time you came in the studio?
I I've never been to the studio.
Oh.
I've just done it on the internet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And they always mail my paints to me ahead of time. So.
Yeah, yeah. You must be getting to a pro at this point.
Yeah, I wish.
I like the Zoom format because you're able to talk back and forth.
Is that new for you, or?
Yeah, we used
Or is
on.
it, or if you had Zoom all along?
We just started Zoom about a week or two ago, and before that we did the Facebook videos. So we would go live on Facebook and people could like comment, but we couldn't hear their voices or anything like that.
Yep, that's what I did the last time.
Mm-hmm. So how did you hear about us?
I think a friend of mine's granddaughters were staying with her, and she found it. So she was telling me about it because she knows I like to paint. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm done with the sky.
All right, so using that same brush, I am gonna go into that dark blue and start with the lake. And I'm gonna try and make this line as straight as I can. Sometimes the paint makes it curve a little. And we're just gonna fill that area in. Don't worry too much about like the pink or...
Mostly just dark blue?
Yeah, mostly just dark blue for now. We'll kind of worry about the blending once we get this first layer down.
Okay.
There we go. And then once I get like about an inch or two of dark blue on there, I'm gonna do the same thing I did in the sky except reverse and just start to lighten it down its body of water.
Okay.
I'm not really worried about the pink or anything like that or any other colors in it. We're more so just trying to map it out. And then once you get that dark blue to that lighter blend, and you fill that kind of area in, that's when we're gonna go in with the pink. Well, the paint is still a little bit wet here.
Okay.
Because if we let it dry, then we won't be able to blend into it anymore, so. So I'm just gonna let it sit for just 30 seconds so it can tack up a little bit, and then I'm gonna tack it with the pink while it's still wet.
Okay.
I get so picky with my water line, it has to be perfectly straight. I feel like the bump of the paint makes it kind of give it. We'll give that out.
Are you still using that same brush?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Whatever brush you feel more comfortable with would probably work just as well.
Okay.
Sometimes people like to switch it up. There, I'm leaving it at that. All right, and then just for the sake of my paint still being wet, I'm just gonna start to attack it with pink. And the pink I use is this red mixed mostly with white. It's easy to make it a little bit too red. Oh, I almost put my paintbrush in my drinking water. All right, so I'm just gonna mix a quick pink here. And I like to start with like the lighter pink and then work it darker if I want. The more white, the better it blends into the blue. And I'm just gonna attack the bottom here.
Okay.
And sometimes the pink won't blend into the blue as well as you want it to, so it's okay to go back and forth. So you put some pink on there, then you go back in with the blue, blend a little bit with the blue, and then if the blue took over too much, then you go back. And while I'm blending with the pink, I might incorporate some teal.
Okay.
And then this is the part where I always say try and do your blending while not looking at the original painting, because sometimes when you're trying to match what the original painting is, you kind of lose the effortlessness to the blending. So be wary of that. And at the bottom, I'm not going to worry too much about those hill lines because I'll always just paint over this. I'm just going to kind of blend into a lighter teal. And I always like to say that your brush can sense fear. So sometimes I just like to take a pink stroke and throw it in there and just let it sit. Because sometimes over blending can cause problems as well.
Sure.
So would you say this is your fourth painting or third painting?
Third.
Third, nice.
I did the poppy and the Monet water lilies, and then this.
Nice. The Monet one's my favorite. I love his paintings.
You know, and I think it makes a difference if you click with the teacher or not.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it a lot more fun.
I know.
Oh. I overblended it already. I know when to stop and then I just keep going.
I know.
There, I'm just gonna, yep. And are you having any troubles with blending, or is it going pretty well for you?
Oh, it's going pretty well.
Okay, perfect. Some people love blending and some people avoid it at all costs.
Yeah.
Actually,
And acrylics are nice because you can go over it with the water or
yeah,
whatever.
it's easy to fix the mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to extend my teal so that it goes a little bit more straight here.
Okay.
That way the flowers will have something behind them, I guess. Cool. How's the weather been in Henning? It's been kind of humid up here lately.
Today it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was nice today. Yeah.
I finally got the AC on.
Really hot yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
And then whenever you're ready, just give me a heads up and we'll start on the farthest hill.
Okay.
I almost drank my paint water now. I should label them. I did that in a class once, and then they all looked at me and I was like, oh gosh, I just did it. We always warn them, we're like, I know your paint water's in the red Solo cups, but that doesn't mean you can drink it. And then they watched me do it right after I said that.
Oh, funny. Whenever you want to start on the next one, go ahead. Let me know.
All right. So for the hills on this painting, we're going to be painting the farthest back ones first and then the big one that goes in the front. So I'm going to be starting basically how I did the water, I guess, for this farthest back one. And I'm using that same brush with the dark blue.
Okay.
And I'm going to start at his top and I'll just kind of curve him out so I know where his top is. And then I'm just going to use mostly white, and I'm just going to kind of blend him down. And this hill is mostly just going to be the white and teal, but you really want to try and get him to be pretty light towards the bottom.
Okay.
Because the ones towards the front are going to be darker and full of more color to help make it a little bit more atmospheric. So I'm just throwing him on there. So you can see I have it kind of like from dark to light, and then once I get those colors on there, I'm going to be a little bit more picky.
Okay.
Oh gosh, we're only 16 minutes in and my palette's already messy.
Yeah.
I go through at least 2 plates. But I did have a professor say once, the messier your palette, the better the painting, so.
Oh, that's good.
And then whenever you get that one kind of towards its end, let me know and I'll show you how to blend the green that we use in the front one.
Okay.
Is there any nice lakes over near Henning?
Oh my gosh. We have lots and lots of lakes around here.
Oh, that must so
I
nice.
live on a little one.
Oh, lucky. Is it, are you west or east facing?
Let's see, I'm north facing.
Okay. So you get the best of both sunset and sunrise.
Yeah. Okay, more green down there. Is there a secret for blending so it doesn't look like, okay, here you've got blue, then you've got red. Is there a secret for making them smooth?
Smooth,
So
I would
they
say,
do blend together?
my biggest tip for that, I guess, would be like putting white where you want it to be smoother and then adding the color into your
Okay.
brush. I kind of use the white as like an eraser. So say if I didn't like the blend right here from the pink to the teal, I would take white on my brush and kind of put it in that area and then kind of go
Okay.
from the pink into the
Oh.
white. So white always kind of helps with that.
Okay.
Because worst case scenario, it just makes it
Okay.
lighter and then you can build on top of that.
Sure.
So. And sometimes it could be just not having enough water on your brush. But then sometimes too much water
Yeah.
makes it a little bit too watercolory, so.
I'm ready whenever you want to move on.
Okay, so I am starting a new plate already. I'll still use the other one, but I think I'm gonna do the greens on this guy. So I'm taking this darker green, I'm gonna put yellow next to him. Put some teal on this one as well. And I'm gonna make that littler hill that's over in this corner here. I'm gonna start with that dark green, same brush I've been using the whole time, and just kind of curve him out. And these hills will feel a little weird until we can get the dark greens and the flowers on there. So.
Okay.
So I'm just
So
blending
that's
him.
mostly dark green that you're doing?
Yeah, mostly dark green, and then I'm gonna use white and the lighter teal towards the bottom, just like that.
Okay. Okay.
And if you're feeling spicy, you can throw a little bit of that dark blue in there. You can see that I did right there. And that just kind of spices up the darkness and makes the green a little richer. And I like to add with just a little bit of lightness popping up from the bottom right.
Okay.
Does the lake that you live on have a little name to it too?
East Leaf.
Oh, cute. I love the names of lakes.
Yeah. There's actually 3 of them, 3 leaf lakes, but you can't go from one to the next without getting out and
Oh, I suppose.
they aren't connected. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Or the streams that connect them are a little too small.
Right, exactly. Okay, I've got my hill done.
All right. So this next hill is gonna be the biggest one, and he goes in front of all of them. But he's a little different. He doesn't like start necessarily dark and go to light. He's all kind of the same lightness to it, but it starts from blue and kind of goes to a yellow teal.
Okay.
So I'm gonna mix
Okay.
maybe the teal and blue together, and then just throw some white in it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start him. I'm just gonna get a line that goes across and be confident with it and swoop it across like that. And then I'm gonna start to fill him in. And then for whatever reason, if your paint underneath is still a little bit wet and picks up this blend, that's okay. We're just gonna get this first layer of paint on there. And it'll probably work out just fine, but depending on how much paint you used on the other hills, it might take a while to get it to show up a little nicer.
Okay.
And same concept, I'm just gonna kind of blend him down into a nice yellow. The teal and the yellow make a cool one like that. And then when you add white to it, it gets to like a nice peachy lime yellow. So I like to use that one. So you can play around with the paints, mix it up. I kind of just like to dip my brush in 3 colors and throw it on there and just kind of see what it happens. And then the more paint you kind of get in that area right away, the more you can just kind of go back and forth with your brush and just blend it all together. And you'll get a nice blend to it.
Okay.
Sometimes people like to take it section by section almost, but I just like to attack the whole area with paint and then quickly just kind of throw it all together. And again, it's hard to get like an identical blend to the original one, so if you find yourself continuing to look at that one and try and get it, just take a 10-second break and just take your brush and put it in any color you feel like it.
Okay. Do you live in Fargo yourself?
Moorhead. I'm MSUM
Moorhead,
student,
okay.
so.
Okay.
These colors so you can see them. And then after this hill, we're going to be filling in this last orange hill towards the horizon.
Okay.
Do you have any nice windows that face the lake then?
Yep, I have lots of big windows.
Oh, you got it when you face a lake.
Yes.
Just wake up, get your coffee, look out the window.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done with that.
All right. So for the sand that is at the top, we're going to be mixing 3 colors together. So I mix the red, white, and yellow. And the right mixture amount will give you like a nice orangey, what kind of color would you call that? Kind of like a tangerine color, I guess. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I'm using mostly white and yellow, and I'll throw, well, I take that back. Mix the red and the yellow together first, and then I throw the white into it. You'll start to get kind of an orange. You can kind of see that light orange I got there. And I'll take that light orange and I'll just fill in that top part here. Being a little bit more picky with my clean lines, I guess. Fill in around. Like that. And even the orange kind of has a blend down to it, so as you get more towards the bottom, you can kind of make it more of a lighter yellow. A lemony yellow. And it might get a little tricky once you get close to your lake part, but I just kind of like to meet up to the lake, and then I don't really like to blend the two together. You can if you want, but I just hide it with flowers later on. a little bit
Okay.
more strategic. So I'll just put some like flowers right here where those two kind of meet so it hides and makes it look like it's blending. And then even at the top here, it might be hard to see because my canvas is still white. I kind of leave it white towards the top of this blend so that the trees I put on top of here are sitting on
Okay.
top of like a white thing, whatever that would be. It just looks nice, I guess.
Okay.
And then any other details we add to the beach, you can kind of see it has like white strokes and stuff like that on it as well. We'll kind of do that when we're doing all of the other detailed strokes and stuff, so
Okay.
just to keep it less complicated. Did you find the right orange okay then?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. On my canvas, the hill, they didn't draw the hill to meet where the peach is, so I've got like a white space. Should I just bring my blue hill up higher?
Let's
So
see.
underneath where your peach is,
Yeah.
right, that piece is white. Right.
Okay.
And if you go down and then to your left, down here,
This is white.
then down. Down. Keep going down. That one is. That's white on mine.
This is
So
white.
should I just extend my heels up high?
Yeah. I would just make it
Right in the
higher so it
middle.
fills it in.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Cover the whole canvas with some color.
Okay. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and they're trying to figure out who I'm talking to.
Whenever I FaceTime my mom, my cat can hear my voice from the room over, and she comes and face bombs the FaceTime. She's just like, how is she in the phone? I don't understand.
Yeah.
What kind of dog and cats do you have?
I have 2 labs. One is black and the other one's yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a calico cat and just a orange tomcat.
Oh, orange tomcats are my favorite.
Yep.
They're cuddly.
And he's cross-eyed.
Oh. Yeah, I have my cat at my parents' house, and my roommate, she just got a kitten, so we have a little rambunctious, I don't know what she's called. She's like the black cat, but has like ginger marks. I don't know what they're called. But she is a very sassy girl.
Cute.
Remember, I always try to paint at home, and then the second I'd leave, my cat would knock over the paint water right onto the carpet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. My mom had the carpet in my room that was put in like square feet, so it was just a bunch of squares of carpet put together, so you could always like replace one of it. She's like, she knew I was a messy child, so. Did that white space fill in okay then?
Yep, it looks good now.
Okay, good.
I'm ready for the next step.
All right. So we are gonna switch gears into using our 2 darker colors, the phthalo and the dark green, the blue and the green. And I have this brush. I noticed you said you had the new brushes, so it's just kind of like the round pointed guy, but he's a little smaller.
Yep.
And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take both these colors and just start to dab in all of those dark trees and bushes. So I start by filling in this top guy. And I like to draw the line first of where they are, and then I just take the brush and I do dabbing motions. It's not so much as swiping as it is kind of like making polka dots almost to give it those tree texture. Fill it in.
And what color did you say that was again?
I'm using both dark green and dark blue. So you can see this one kind of has a mixture of both of the colors. And these paints are kind of transparent, so after you do one layer and let it dry, I come back and add a few more dots to it, I guess. But while that's drying, I'm gonna work on the other areas.
Okay.
So I'll just start to do dabs of leaves in these areas. And I use both the green and the blue because when they mix together, they kind of make a darker green.
Okay.
I can hear your brush dabbing. Does he want to paint too?
Yeah.
And it's okay if these don't quite get to how or where you want them, because it's kind of hard to see how they turn out until after we put lighter colors on top. And then we can also go in and darken them and
Sure.
put stuff around them as well after we put some flowers in.
Okay.
So whenever you get to a point on those where you kind of feel like you got most of them in, let me know, and then we can do the clouds in the sky, and then that gives them some time to dry before we go in with those lighter colors. And then they don't mix as much and we get muddy colors.
Okay.
We don't want that.
Lila. Okay, I'm done with my trees.
All right. So this next step is a little bit different to brush techniques that we have been using. So I'm going back to that first brush that we used, this 1/2 inch flat, and I'm gonna dry him off completely. I'm gonna try and get him as dry as if he didn't have any water in him.
Okay.
And we do this because once we start to get him kind of dried up, you can see his bristles get separated like that. They're a little bit more tasseled. And I'm gonna do the clouds in the sky now, except I'm using barely any paint on my brush. I'm gonna get some more white on my palette. And I'm only taking those nice dry bristles I have and only putting the tips of them in the paint. You can see I barely have any paint on there. That might even be too much. I might dab some off on my plate. I'm gonna try and wisp these clouds on there, and I'm doing that in circular motions. You can see how I'm painting, but I'm barely getting any color on there. So I might have to refill my brush, but again, I'm not grabbing a lot of paint when I do that. And I just gently want to wisp clouds on there like that. And you can go as crazy with the clouds as you like. You don't have to overload them if you don't want to.
Okay.
The toughest part about these ones is kind of keeping your brush with the right amount of paint on there that you want to see in the sky.
Sure.
And then you can also see there's purple ones that are towards the top. Those are kind of like what I do underneath those white ones to give the clouds a little bit of a shadow. And for purple, I just take the red, blue, and white to make my own. It's mostly white, but so the tough part there is mixing your blue and then completely drying out your brush again.
Okay.
I mean purple. And clouds are pretty easy to get carried away with, so be careful.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Lila, no.
Do the cats and dogs get along?
For the most part.
How are your clouds going?
Pretty good. I got too much purple in them, so I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah, I did that too.
Oops.
If you're careful, you can go back in with a blue mixed with a little bit of white and kind of blend on top of the purple to make it look like it's more part of the sky. That's what I did in the corner over here.
Okay.
Let me make sure I have enough room left on my palettes.
Okay, are we ready for the next step?
All right. So
We're waiting for drying.
They are your the darker areas, are they still a little bit wet?
No, not really.
Okay.
Some of the trees, but not the hills.
Okay, then you should be okay. If the colors ever start to get muddy,
Okay.
if you're mixing or going on top, just take a plate and kind of air dry it real quick, but it should be okay as long as you're just kind of plopping the paint on there. So I'm going to be starting with the pink flowers on the right side here. So again, I'm just going to mix some pink, not using too much red, making sure it's nice and light. And the same technique as I did for the little bushes, I'm just going to start plopping on just some color on the top. I'm keeping my brush strokes kind of dotted and random. And as they get towards the middle, I kind of get smaller with my brush strokes. And I'm just going to plop color on everywhere. Just like that. So I keep my brush strokes kind of like bigger at the top and like smaller more towards in the green. And that's the only area I really use pink. And from then on out, I'm just going to be putting orange and yellow on there. And the yellow, I never put it on just the paint. I mix it with the white. So I'm always mixing white and yellow together when I'm using it for the flowers. And that's kind of the same thing too, so I'm just throwing it all over. And I kind of like to do all the colors at one time because I go back and forth. Like I'll do some pink and then I'll do some yellow and then I'll be like, I use a little bit too much yellow, so I'll go back in with the pink. So wherever you kind of see fit. What I tend to do doing the flowers is after quite a few of them, I get a little bit tired in my hand and I do less dot work and I do more swipe work. So just kind of keep track on that. There's some oranges in there. And then I usually, once I get a decent amount of flowers on there, I'll start in with the details in the hills, but only after you have flowers on all three hills.
Okay.
That way, once you do those horizontal lines and start in with the detail work, you can kind of help it, what's the word? coexist with the flowers so that you can go back and forth between the two, so that your oranges kind of match in the hills as they do in the flowers. Because sometimes you mix an orange and you lose it, and then you have to try and find it again. So that's what I'm going to start doing. I mixed a really nice orange for the flowers over here, so I'm going to do that orange on the hills in the left. So I'm just doing horizontal strokes.
Okay.
And the biggest thing with those guys is be confident with them, because the brush can definitely sense fear. So I'm going to And then I threw on these orange ones quick in the front just so I can show you if you're ever doing those. I kind of keep them staggered, so you see they're not like parallel to each other. It's kind of like brickwork.
Okay.
So just kind of keep that in mind, because if they get parallel to each
Yeah.
other, it feels a little inorganic. So.
Sure.
I find this kind of the fun part of the painting, because you can start to pop around wherever you like to now. I like that ringtone. And then before I forget about it, there's one last detail in the beach that I want to make sure we get on there before we get too crazy with the flowers. So I'm just using a skinny brush and white, and I'm underlining those trees up there. I take the white and go underneath it. That helps the tree line kind of get neatened up. And then I also throw a little bit on the beach as well. Just a nice little white line up there.
Okay.
And a little drag in between.
Okay.
Something like that.
Trees on the beach.
I went a little overboard, but I'm going to fix that here.
Lila.
They really want to get a hold of you.
I have a friend whose son is having issues, so I'm sure that's what it's about, but I don't really want to look
Yeah. Just paint. And then as we get into those flowers and the things towards the bottom, like I said, you can go back into the flower areas and add more darkness. And I actually do that by using red.
Okay.
So I'm taking red and a small brush,
Okay.
and I'm just kind of squiggling in those blue areas, especially on this side. So I'm just kind of like throwing little accents of red in there. That one went a little crazy, but I can always bring it back a little. Adds a little character. I like to add little red dots in the flowers on this side as well. Squiggle around over here. And then this front hill, that's where I like to take the red and do those nice little lines at the bottom of the flowers.
Okay.
Then I also do the red marks on the upper left hill as well.
Okay.
And if I do this step, you don't have to do it like immediately after me. I'm more so just kind of throwing them out there so you know what's coming next.
Okay.
I was one of those students where I was like,
And that was just straight red?
yep, straight red.
Okay.
And I'm going to go back in with the dark greens and blues and maybe just kind of darken up the bottom of where these flowers are to ground them a little bit better. I was one of those students that I preferred my teacher to kind of explain the whole lesson right away, and then I can start and finish and keep going wherever I wanted to throughout it. So that's kind of how I teach too. So I'm just like, I'll give you the things, just kind of start where you like. So I'm going to go in some.
Are you majoring in art?
I'm art education and psychology, yep.
Okay, wow.
We'll see what I do with it, I suppose.
I suppose you guys had to do everything over the internet too, huh?
Yeah, that was.
You couldn't go to class?
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. I was in a math class actually, and then that went all online.
Oh my God.
I haven't done math, I think, in 3 years. And then everything just switched to online format, so you're really just kind of learning out of your textbook.
Oh, jeez.
And I never really disliked math, I guess, but if I were a person and I absolutely hated math, despised it, and then all of a sudden that class had to go online, I don't know what I would have done. That just, I couldn't have done that. But the teachers did really well adapting it all for us, so.
That's good.
I was sad about one of my classes. I was in ceramics, and of course you can't really do that online. So that one just kind of ceased to exist.
Went away.
Yeah. But it kind of makes you angry when you're paying for the credit and there's 2 months where you're not even doing anything in the class.
Yeah.
But it's how it is. All right. Add a little bit more blue. And then you're moving along okay? You don't have any questions about anything?
No, I think I
Perfect.
understand. I'm still going to go back and fix my clouds again because I'm not happy with them.
Yeah. They're the tough ones.
Yes.
Mine's starting to get a little busy towards the bottom, but that's okay. I tell myself to stop.
Where are you from originally?
Hitterdall. It's a
okay.
smaller town outside of
that.
Holly. Yeah, usually people don't, but
Yeah, I've been there. I'm an appraiser, so I get around to a lot of places.
oh yeah, of course. Maybe you've even appraised our house.
Yeah, could have.
Yeah, it's a nice little area. It's not too far from Fargo Moorhead that you don't feel like you're in the middle of the nowhere quite yet.
Exactly.
What else I need to throw in here? How long have you appraised then?
21 years.
Wow.
And before that, I worked for Northwest Airlines.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Let's be on a little yellow over there. All right, I think I've done all the details I can do on mine without making it a little too busy. If you would like for me to kind of stay on until you're done with the details, or I can let you go and be as detail-oriented as you would like. All up to you.
You can go, and I'll just keep plugging away.
All right. Are you sure you wouldn't have any more questions or anything like that?
No.
All right.
But thank you for taking me on as your only student tonight.
No problem. I love it. It's always fun to have someone to talk to while you're kind of painting along. Throw one more pop of yellow up there. There. And I'll leave you with one last piece of advice. When you're getting kind of towards the end, take about 5 or 10 steps back and then take a look at it, and then it'll pop out to you what you would want to add on. Sometimes sitting so close you kind of get too engulfed in it, but if you take a step back, you'll see where you need to add more flowers or take away. So all that good stuff. Well,
okay.
Sweet. Well, I hope to see you on another Zoom meeting here soon. I'll let you go here, and then if you feel like you'd love to, you can go ahead and post your final product on our Facebook. I'd love to see it. Or you can message it to us. You don't have to, though.
Okay.
All right. Well, have a great afternoon. All right. Touch the end
You
button.
too.
Thank you.